Hello, my name's Mary. I'm a professional printmaker and working in arts education across the board from adults through to children, and I've been doing so for the last 10 years, or even 12 years now. I'm starting a crowdfunding campaign because I've been wanting to develop a way of getting printmaking out into the community without necessarily open access workshops, which can be costly. They can be quite sort of intimidating if you're new to printmaking, and also a way of just integrating arts education, which I'm really passionate about, with day-to-day practice as a printmaker. Ever since I graduated from the Royal College of Art in 2008, I've been always integrating, on the one hand I've got arts education, and on the other hand I've got my own personal practice. And the two are kind of symbiotic in many ways, and they actually feed off one another, which I find really exciting. The project I'm wanting to develop is, I think, probably quite crazy in many people's way, as a print falls down. Purely because it involves actually setting up a print shop in our house. And our house, this makes our house sound sort of like it's a giant mansion. It's really not. It's a 2 up, 2 down terrace. And sort of the space behind me over here was the old bathroom on the ground floor. And since we did sort of the work ourselves, we were able to fit in a plan chest, which is here, a temporary sort of etching press, which is not my hard duty etching press, it's just sort of a pop-up one, and sort of in the spaces over here there's some cupboards and printmaking sort of ancillary items. So it's a small space, but it is a space, and it's enabled me to carry on printmaking, especially during lockdown, which is obviously, I think, for many artists been a really tough time. So I'm incredibly lucky for 2 years I've had this space. What we're wanting to do is actually convert the front room of our 2 up, 2 down, so that's the room that looks out onto the very public pavement, into a print shop. It's a lot bigger space. It could house my etching press, which is currently in parts, beloved Giles is his name, in parts under the stairs over there. And it's a beautiful Rochat etching press. It's cast iron. I invested in it over 8 years ago, and it's just amazing. I love the thing. But it's been in parts for almost 5 years. So it would enable me to get that up and running. It would also enable me to implement the strategy of getting another press, which is a stone lithography press, which I'll go into why that's important in a minute. The main thing is, the idea is that this print shop will be in a very public place. You know, printmaking tends to be quite sort of hidden in the basement, and it's this sort of dark and dangerous art involving nitric acid and sort of etching and chemicals and all these weird and wonderful things that it is actually needed to be, and it is not. And it needs to have some better education out there, and generally this, I think, speaks across the board for the arts. There need to be teachers and educators out there who are willing to just put a bit more of their own practice on the line, and a bit more of their own mistakes, in my case many, and a bit more of their own sort of personality on the line to help get people engaged in arts education and expression. So the idea is, to say, the print shop would be in our front room, which, as you can't see, it's off shot, it's literally there. So we would sacrifice our lounge. Not that's a big issue for us because we're quite active people, and that would therefore become a day-to-day print shop. And from that, it would allow myself, obviously, on a personal level, to carry on my practice in a more expansive setting. It would also enable people and passerbys to literally have a look in through the window, and see what's going on. And there are the potentials of, sort of streaming this online, having print days where you can go online and see what's happening in the shop. And I've already started free videos online during lockdown of various sort of technical things to do with printmaking. And it's the idea of then just having a video stream for a quarter of an hour a day or a certain day where you get to see what goes on in a day-to-day artist's life. And you can also, there are things like podcasts could be amazing, and the community can actually start to see what happens in an artist's life. It doesn't become something secret and egotistical. It becomes very much part of the life of the community. And I suppose when you look back on sort of history of small terraces or houses, especially more in sort of the countryside, there were these cottage industries, and it's kind of died out. Society is so insistent on wanting to go places, you know, let's go on holiday, let's go on a cruise, let's go over there, the grass is greener over there. And no one anymore actually just looks at what is here in the sort of this beautiful centre where they live and what can be made out of that. And that's really exciting for me, because it takes people to put a bit of their life on the line, a bit of a risk, to say, you know what, yeah, I'm prepared to shout out for what we have here in this community. And so by moving the print shop to a very public setting, people can engage. And the other thing is, you know, that allows me to teach the community very easily, because I'm not having, you know, I don't drive, I cycle a lot, but I'm not having to go places to teach. There are options in the future of bringing people in, of doing so many projects, and because it's all part of the home setting. Now, during lockdown, I've been doing a series of free colouring sheets, which are these are this week's offerings behind me. They're liner cuts. Each one has been cut every week, and I edition 40 of them, and the public get to walk past our house and collect them and colour them in. And I think I'm on letter, I should know this, I think I'm on letter 22, so I've only got 4 more to do the rest of the alphabet. And I'm going to carry on doing these sort of things because they're completely free. It gets people interested in expression, even if it's just colouring. You know, I love colouring. Colouring's cool. And again, it's this idea that just simple acts will bring the community together. So a simple act of moving a studio from a back room in our house to the front room of our house, suddenly the potentials are massive. Now, as a printmaker who has got a smallish working space currently, I have the setup to be able to just plug and play. Give me a print studio and I'm away. What I don't have the setup for is to potentially reinforce the floors of our suspended floor. You know, these are heavy etching presses. They're not lightweight, these are cast iron, and it is possible, but there might need to be some work. I have some amazing designers willing to already contribute services for free to help with that. But there are material costs. There's also the stone litho press, which I talked about, and this particular press is one I've used for many years when I was in London, in the East End of London, and I'm going to get a bit emotional about it now. I did a really big Arts Council commission on it when I was 7 months pregnant with our first child, who's now 6.5, almost 7. And I have a real connection with this stone litho press, and it's something that I almost can't bear to, you know, see it go elsewhere and not get used. And it was offered to me because the studio where I used to use it and work on it is having to relocate. So they had this stone litho press and all the stones and the equipment that go with it. And they offered it to me at an amazing price. And I'm in this position where I'm like, I can't say no. This is almost like my third baby. It's a very big cast iron baby, but it means that much to me, this stone press, and it would be wonderful to get it up and running and functioning and teach people on it and show people the wonders of lithography. And also the other reason stone litho is really exciting for me in the print shop, because it enables me to combine text and drawn imagery, not wood engravings, but actually drawn imagery on the same sheet. So I can start to publicise, you know, printmaking booklets. You can start off doing some awesomely cool stuff. And it's all done. You can do stone litho without any sort of damage to the environment. It can be a completely low footprint and non-toxic method, which again, when you're working in a house, is actually really important, and generally as an artist it's crucial. So hence why the stone litho press is kind of the biggest expenditure in this crowdfunding campaign, and actually kind of the sort of the crux of the whole thing. That and the structural reinforcement, which I suppose is quite important. You don't want your presses falling through the floor. Those are the two sort of the biggest expenditures. As I say, I've been doing videos, I've been doing free online courses, so I have the setup to kind of plug and play when it comes to videoing, podcasting, all that business, and getting live streaming out to the pavement. I mean, that would be amazing. You could actually, someone could walk past and they could be watching a live video of someone pulling a print, or they could be watching their friend do some stone litho. I mean, it's just amazing. It could be brilliant. So all of that I'm pretty much ready to go. It's a case of the actual infrastructure, which is, I suppose, the kind of what's the word, the thing that needs to be there. That's not the word, but it needs to start happening before I can actually move into the lounge. So it's a really exciting prospect, and it's not without its challenges. We have 2 young children who are home educated, and so they might feel they're losing out on something, but we've talked very openly to them, and they absolutely love printmaking. They've been brought up with it. I was printmaking with the children in slings when they were newborns, so it's literally been part of their lives since they were babies and unborn babies. And they, this space behind us, we will start converting into a space for them. So they have it's still space and to play, and we have a garden, which is incredibly fortunate. And so the print shop becomes part of their education. It becomes part of a skill outside of a curriculum, which is so important. A skill which they have, they might choose not to follow, and that's also important. But it's an education, and as the art should be an education for all, and it should be accessible for all. This would be a service people can look at and look through the window and say hi, see what's going up, have a chat, all for free. Yes, it's my place where I continue my personal practice, but it's also a place of education, and that's really, really important and really cool. So yes, there will be challenges, I'm sure, and there'll be some teething problems. It's pretty crazy turning a quarter of your house into a print shop when you have a young family. But that's kind of fun, It's important. I think it's important to take these challenges and people to put their foot out there and say, you know what, I believe in this community, and I believe in the essence of community, and let's sort of do something fun. So the crowdfunding campaign is for that infrastructure, to get the print shop happening, and to get it singing and dancing, and to get art and printmaking out there for free, and to a community, and to many communities, and hopefully inspire people to want to express. Thank you very much for listening. Details of the actual obviously all the gifts and exchanges and donations on the website. I've also got some images of my own practice, my own work, and some of the education I've been doing, and the grants and awards and all that kind of detail and blurbs, all up there. I don't want to now end saying please, please, please support, because that would have been said on every single crowdfunding video. There is no pressure. This video has taken me probably about 2 months to even debate whether I can justify to myself doing a crowdfunding campaign. So just thank you for listening, and thank you if you support. That means the world, and it'll be well worth every single penny and every single sweat and blood and tears that go into this, and also absolute joy of printmaking and joy of the arts. Thank you. Bye bye.